starting with Julie, and then Rhonda, and then Donna, and then Judith. I want to go around the robin with just introducing yourself and the part of nursing that you kind of help to represent on our panel. And feel free and mention your company name as well. So, first of all, welcome to the show, Miss Julie Bowman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Julie Bowman. I'm a Chief Nursing Officer over Brazo Arrowhead. So I represent largely the inpatient nursing and a bit of ambulatory.
Love that. Very excited for you. And then we
Thank you.
have, absolutely. And then we have Dr. Rhonda Anderson. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here again. I'm Rhonda Anderson, and I work with Global Healthcare Accreditation, and we accredit programs all over the country and all over the world, as well as with the American Nurses Credentialing Center, which credentials nurses and magnet hospitals, etc.
Okay, very good. Now, I am hearing that there's a little bit of an echo, so let me fix that. I think we fixed the problem on the echo with us, but perhaps our viewers are hearing an echo. So let's see if we can fix that for them. And the folks who are just now chiming in, let us know where you're signing in from, what city, what state, what country. And hopefully this will fix the issue. And then let's go to Dr. Donna Cato. Welcome to the
Hi,
show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to be here again. I am Dr. Donna Cato, and I am the Chief Executive Officer for the Arizona Nurses Association and our Arizona Foundation for the Future of Nursing. So I represent initiatives from a statewide level.
Awesome. Very good. And then we also have Dr. Judy Karshmer. Welcome.
Hi, I'm delighted to be here. I have the good fortune of being the Dean of the Edson College of Nursing and Health Innovation at Arizona State University. And so I'm here on behalf of academic nursing.
Excellent. Very good. And then Joanne, just let us know if hopefully we fixed that echo. Folks who are just not coming in, let us know where you're coming in from. Are you using AI or perhaps virtual care within your nursing space where you are in your practice, whether it's a hospital setting, whether it's ambulatory, whatever the case is? Are you using either of those in your situation? So I would love to hear top of mind what's really you're seeing from your perspective, and I would like to go in kind of in the same order, if you will. What's top of mind for you? And you can focus on either side, whether it's on the virtual care side or on the AI side. So we'll start off with you, Julie.
What's top of mind for me is just the shrinking workforce and looking at the nursing shortage and the number of people that have left healthcare since the pandemic. Probably 1 in 4 or 5 healthcare workers have moved on, but particularly to nursing, the skills of nursing, and looking at how we can maximize and optimize virtual care or AI care to really give the best care to patients, but use the very best skills of the nurse in the care of the patient so that we don't lose that personal touch as we look at how we can maximize either the virtual care or AI. There's a lot in the literature right now about how hospitals are maximizing their opportunities here, and I think the opportunities are endless from a hospital's perspective.
Very good. Really appreciate your insight on that. By the way, I'm losing a little bit of your chin there at the bottom there, if you don't mind. Just kind of bring that camera down a little bit. Thank you so much. Obviously, oh, that's awesome. Okay, and then let's go to you, Rhonda. What's kind of top of mind for you at this moment?
Well, like Julie, I think workforce is a top issue of everybody's mind right now. But leveraging virtual technology in the care of patients, I think, is a real key. And one of the things I'd like to challenge the audience with is changing our language. And what I mean by that is we talk about telemedicine. It's not just medicine. And so I've coined a new term, and I hope everybody uses it. It's teleprofessional patient care management. And that could be telenursing, telespeech, telephysical therapy. And I would just encourage all of us to really think about that, because we are interacting as nurses with patients on a regular basis through the technology. And that's a really important change as we look at how we coach our patients. Second thing I would say is that AI, let's embrace it and make sure that we are using that intelligence to improve our workloads. And case managers in a work that I do with oncology patients across the country are able to earlier detect the potential for cancer in patients and earlier intervention because they don't have to do all of that manually and look at all this different either paper or different electronic medical records, but it's done for them. And then they use those pieces of data in order to intervene and get them to a physician, et cetera.
That's wonderful. That sounds like something we should be talking about for sure. Okay, now how about you, Dr. Cato?
Yes, similar to my colleagues, it is workforce all around. Nursing, has historically been the largest profession in the healthcare environment and will continue to be in the near future. So how do we leverage the work that we do using our teleprofessionals, but then how do we pivot and prepare for those new roles? So new job responsibilities, new roles, new job descriptions, new skill sets. So it's really important that we think about the future in a meaningful way. And as we redesign our healthcare system, start to integrate these technologies for best practices.
Very good. Okay, excellent. And how about from your perspective, Dr. Judith Karshmer?
Hi. Well, workforce is on top of all of our minds. And as representing academic nursing and preparing new nurses and upskilling nurses that are in practice, we are forever changed as a result of COVID. And healthcare is forever changed. We have learned that we can deliver care using remote access, whether it's a video conferencing or even remote monitoring. What we need to do is now add that skill set to preparation of nurses and upskilling of nurses in practice, and making sure that we listen better to our patients. They like it. They like having remote opportunities. They like not having to come in. So we are working hard to really make this a part of the portfolio of the next generation of the new nurse as we contribute to the nursing workforce.
I love that point. I want to touch on what you just said about they like it, the patients like it. I've gotten feedback that also the employees like it too, because they like having more flexible work options. I don't know, but I don't know if you want to. If anyone wants to chime in on that, how has the staff embraced some of these movements in technology, whether it's virtual care or AI? Are they embracing it as well?
Certainly my experience is that from both personal as well as professional perspective, it saves time, it saves money. It also gives you access in a much more rapid way, not having to wait for weeks to do that. So now the challenge really becomes, how do we integrate? When is it appropriate to come in person? When is it the right time to actually see your provider or be in a facility where someone's caring for you? And when can you have an extender at home? When can you be remotely monitored? And this is the exciting challenge, because if we listen better to our patients, we'll know better where is the good mix of in-person versus remote.
Okay. So I'm curious, Julie, from your perspective in the acute care setting, do you find that staff are looking for more options like what I mentioned? Are they looking for support, like maybe a hybrid type position where some shifts are virtual and other shifts are in the patient care setting, in front of the patient? Or is it a situation where there's a clear line and you have those who don't want to really cross on either side?
I think this is new enough to most people in the workforce that thinking along those lines, I would have to speculate that the workforce would be interested in this option and they would have to opt in or opt out. I think that coming from the background of a children's hospital, one of the most challenging things that the nurses face is the challenges with families and the difficult dynamics and the difficult diagnoses and the things that they're challenged to put together, and really putting the nurse in the care position and maybe inviting others into that spectrum that have skill sets with social and psychosocial and things to really let the nurse focus on the care of the patient. But I would also mention, as I reflect on my career, two things. One, many of us started our careers when And when you look at downtime procedures, which is what we ask people to do or drill or experience regularly, it's often the newer nurses that struggle with going back to paper because they didn't learn on paper. So that feels foreign to them, but the computer feels current practice. So I am very optimistic that our workforce, with our academic partners, can really work to strengthen this area of nursing. We have examples of this in patients that have congestive heart failure. They've been monitored remotely for years, where their weight and their blood pressure and their blood sugars and all these things have been monitored. So I think the world is open to all of the opportunities, both inpatient as well as outpatient and ambulatory.
Excellent, very good. And I've got a little bit of a freeze. Looks like on my, I think it's still rolling. Let me know, Joanne, if it affects on the live end. But for some reason, I'm not seeing my screen change here. It just keeps on the same one. So hopefully it doesn't stay like that. Okay, in terms of what you're saying, more, I guess, more across Arizona, Dr. Cato, Donna. I know that you kind of have your fingers on the pulse of what's going on throughout the state. So, do you have anything you want to add in terms of perspective on? Are we seeing the staff presenting themselves as, I want to work on this side or that side, or I want to do a little bit of both?
You know, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's going to depend on their flexibility, their other obligations, you know, their skill set. I love what Julie said about the interprofessional team and really elevating the access to care delivery. So I think that there's a role with whatever you want to do, you know, within nursing. If virtual nursing is your thing, you know, how do you do that across sectors, right? Maybe you could do virtual precepting for academia, yet still do virtual nursing for your specialty area. Maybe it's ICU or something. So I'm really excited, especially here in Arizona. We have hospitals, even in our rural settings, that are starting to adopt this technology to provide.
There was EICU with nurses and physicians that helped manage patients in critical care units across the world, actually, and still do that today. And I think that we found two things. First of all, sometimes hands-on is really necessary, and that's what your bedside person is about, whether it's a nurse, physician, therapist, et cetera. But a lot of it is the critical thinking of the nurse as they look at the information about the patient. And that in the virtual nursing piece is really a key to the success of how some of these patients are managed. And then the other thing is we've heard patients in the places that we have this virtual nursing already, and the patients are saying, I get 2 nurses instead of just 1. And what they're talking about is the virtual nurse rounds with the bedside nurse. and they know exactly the plan of care. And then any time during the day, night, that patient can call up the virtual nurse, or the virtual nurse is checking in with them, and they can ask their questions, have reinforced education, et cetera, et cetera. And it's absolutely phenomenal for the patient. And when a family member comes and they need some of that information, the virtual nurse is called up, and the virtual nurse shares with them that same information, while a bedside nurse is maybe taking care of a different patient. And so it really has made a huge difference. But to your question about
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. You're on a roll. You sound fantastic, but the problem is I don't see us online anymore.
Oh,
So I don't know what just happened. It said it stopped on LinkedIn.
Huh.
So what I would suggest, Joanne, is just on LinkedIn only, hit stop and start. Is it still showing on YouTube? Joanne, I don't know if you heard me. Did it stop on YouTube as well as Facebook, or did it just only stop on LinkedIn? Joanne, are you able to hear me?
She said she's checking. I don't see any
Okay.
comments in the live chat either, Rollis.
No.
I mean,
Yeah, I think what happened was it says now it says event ended, right? So that part is gone. Okay. Yes, Rollis, what? Yes, that YouTube is still continuing, or is that what you're saying? If so, let's just stop LinkedIn and start it back up again. It'll come up as a new thread on my feed. Okay. All right. So the good news is we didn't miss any of that good stuff you were just saying, Rhonda, on YouTube. Apparently LinkedIn dropped us. So we're just going to turn it off and turn it right back on. Let's make sure it comes right back on. I'm just going to hit my refresh screen here. And what we'll do if we can't get it back on LinkedIn, we'll just make sure it's available as on a link to the rest of the folks who are watching it. So did you turn it off and on, Joanne? Okay. All right. She said she's got it. Okay. So let's see if we're back online with LinkedIn. And you were on a good roll because you're talking about, I know part of what you said is that the patient feels like they had two nurses. There's two people caring for them, like two for the price of one kind of deal. I love that. Who doesn't love a bargain?
right.
Okay, so I'm hitting refresh here just to making sure that we're back on. I don't see us quite yet. Okay. Show must go on. Let's continue with this anyway. Let's continue with the track that we're on. And then what we can do is we'll make it available to those of you who are watching on LinkedIn. If you're not seeing me right now, we'll make it available to you a little bit later. In the meantime, we're still rolling on YouTube. I'm not seeing it come on just yet. All right, very good. So yes, let's continue with your point. You know what? Actually, let me just do this really quick. Because I'm showing us online everywhere, but it's not showing on LinkedIn for some reason. Refresh one more time here. It's very interesting. I'm gonna do it one more time. I'm just gonna toggle this back off and on one more time and see if that does the trick. Okay, well, the show must go on. Let's just continue on, guys. So let's continue with that point about they feel like they're getting two nurses for one here. That's great patient feedback. If you want to continue on that, and or also if you want to continue on the track of how the staff is embracing it.
Well, that's part and parcel, I believe, because there are some staff members, and way again before COVID, when we were doing some of this at Banner Health. One of the things that we found was some of the nurses really had some struggles at staying at the bedside, only because of physical issues, et cetera. But they were so fabulous with this population of cardiac patients. And I'm going to give you an example. It was when value-based purchasing started and readmissions were really looked at, et cetera, and they wanted to cut back on a cardiac patient went home with an iPad. And that iPad, they checked in with every day with their health team, their interprofessional team. And it was a pharmacist, a nurse, and a health coach. And if they didn't check in, then they were called at a certain time just to find out. But what they said and what the staff said that were in the interface made it so much better for everybody. The patient had to bring their vitals and everything in once a day and show their medications, et cetera, through their iPad interaction with the healthcare team. But they could also, at the end of the day, if something was just not feeling right, they could call up their team again, and they loved it. And the patient, and the patient didn't have to go to urgent care or emergent care or whatever. So absolutely phenomenal. Another example, years ago, literally 15 years ago, at Hartford Healthcare Corporation when I was there, we had Hank, home assisted nursing care, and he was a robot.
we're just going to pause just for just a moment because it looks like technology is not our friend right now. But we're gonna